Hello and welcome to A Game of Two Halves, a new show brought to you by sports journalism students at the University of South Wales. I am your host, Max Drinkwater-James, and I'll be bringing you the latest sports stories from Wales. On today's show, we will hear how safer Merthyr Tydfil used football to bring the community together for White Ribbon Day, as well as being joined in the studio by Archie Tooth to discuss Vitor Matos and his start as Swansea City manager. But first, here is today's headlines. England and Wales have been paired together in the pool stages of the 2027 Rugby World Cup in Australia, with Tonga and Minnows, Zimbabwe rounding out Pool F. The pair famously met at the same stage in the 2015 tournament, with Wales's victory at Twickenham contributing to England's early exit as hosts. Wales women's head coach Rhian Wilkinson was relieved to finish 2025 on a high, as her side ended their 12-game winless streak with a 3-2 friendly victory over Switzerland. It was their first win since their European Championship playoff final success against the Republic of Ireland almost 12 months ago to the day. And finally, a blaze that wrecked the clubhouse of the 145-year-old Penarth Rugby Club was caused by an electrical fault, according to fire investigators. The flames destroyed trophies and memorabilia and the clubhouse, which dates back to 1880. For our first story, we head to the Cardiff City Stadium, where Jake Hastings spoke to Bluebirds head coach Brian Barry Murphy about Ruben Colwill, who has taken the option to have surgery on his ankle injury.
I'm here at the Cardiff City Stadium, where on Tuesday night I had the opportunity to ask Cardiff City manager Brian Barry Murphy about Ruben Colwill, who is facing 3 months on the sideline with an ankle injury. Brian, just away from the game, I don't know if you saw Ruben posted a photo that he had surgery. I was wondering if there was now a timeline on when you think he will be back.
12 weeks.
In last week's pre-match press conference before the Mansfield Town game, Brian Barry Murphy said he was unsure whether Ruben would have surgery or not. However, on Tuesday, he confirmed that the midfielder had decided to have surgery. Here's what he had to say.
So I think Ruben weighed up the pros and cons of whether to have surgery or whether to not. We've a brilliant physio, James Rowland, and a specialist who did the surgery advised him that it was, in their opinion, the best route.
Brian also said that he'd spoken to Ruben after his surgery and gave us an update on how he's doing.
He seems very positive. I think always when we have injuries of that nature, it's always the period in between the injury occurring and when you have the surgery that's the most. It leads to the most anxiety.
Having played 20 games this season and getting 9 goal contributions in all competitions, there's no doubt that Ruben will be a massive miss. However, if Saturday's game against Mansfield is anything to go by, they're more than capable of coping without him.
Our next story takes us to the Penny Darren Boys and Girls Club in Merthyr Tydfil, where Safer Merthyr Tydfil, a charity dedicated to community safety and reducing crime in Merthyr, held a community football event to help raise awareness of White Ribbon Day. Jake Hastings reports.
I'm here today in Merthyr. As Safer Merthyr Tydfil, I'm marking White Ribbon Day with a community football event, bringing children and adults together to promote awareness and bringing violence against women and girls to an end.
So Safe Merthyr Tydfil is an organisation, so we're a charity that's been running since 1997 and is primarily to look at domestic abuse for perpetrators, victims and children and young people.
Safer Merthyr Tydfil is a local organisation working to make communities safer, stronger and more supported, from helping people experiencing domestic abuse to supporting young people to promoting community safety across the borough. Their work puts well-being at the heart of Merthyr Tydfil.
So today is the 25th of November 2025, and on the 25th of November every year we celebrate White Ribbon Day, which is about ending male violence against women. So this year is around We Speak Up. So we've created a community event for children, young people, women and men to play football, as we know that football is a grassroots sport, and it's a lot of what we do is around making sure that our community knows who we are and what we do. sport is important because it gets conversations started. You're in a group of people, you're not alone, you're not isolated, you make friends that you never would have made before. And I think that having organisations involved in what we do makes that difference, and starting from very, very young up into your men's, you're looking at men's mental health, women's mental health, keeping physical and active really makes a massive difference to children, people, women and men. So main message for today is for us to end male violence against women. Obviously that's a big task, so all I ask is for everyone to take the pledge on the White Ribbon website and just make the pledge to not be an innocent bystander and support White Ribbon Day and domestic abuse.
With a strong turnout and a powerful message spread, today's football session showed how sport can bring people together to promote respect and safety in the community.
Next up, we head over to our student spotlight. Jake Hastings caught up with second year student Marcel Dudek as he shared why he chose sports journalism and his favourite part of the course so far.
Hi, I'm Marcel Dudek and I'm a second year sports journalism student at the University of South Wales, and I'm here to tell my story. So I've always been really into sports. I've been to football, into volleyball, and since I'm from Poland, the commentators there they make the game seem like live, like you're there, even when you're watching on TV. So I really want to be a commentator when I was younger. So I think this course, there was no real courses near me that do this sort of thing, and this was the nearest one and probably the best one from what I saw on the review. So I was definitely up for it.
So tell us a bit about your backstory. As you said, you're from Poland. Could you give me more of an insight on that?
Yeah, so I was born in Bristol, but I moved back to Poland for 2 years, and then I moved back here. I think I'm enjoying it more because last year was more, essay writing, more writing stuff, but here we're doing more practical stuff with Julie, and we get to go out doing photography, graphics with Andy as well. As I said, I've always been into commentary, so I really wanted to do that. But also, now that I've been doing more photography and graphics with Andy, I'm really into that as well. So I think if commentary maybe doesn't work out, I would really be able to do photography and graphics as well. This year, I think meeting new people, gathering more contacts, so next year I can use them for some of my projects, and then maybe further my career, like getting jobs and stuff like that.
So is the aim for you potentially to get a job in commentary?
Yeah, that would be the dream, but as I said, photography as well. I really love that. So
if you wanted to do, if there was an opportunity to do both, maybe go to a club and be a photographer, but also have the opportunity to do a commentary, is that something that potentially you want to do?
Definitely, yeah. That's basically the dream, yeah.
Strength and conditioning coach Flynn Woodward recently spoke to Jake Hastings about his recent challenge where he did 24 workouts in 24 hours for charity. Here's what he had to say.
So Flynn, for anyone that doesn't know, what is the challenge that you undertook just over a week ago? So I did 24 workouts in 24 hours, 24 CrossFit workouts for Andy's Man Club. It's a men's charity with groups all over the UK, helping men to meet up and talk about their problems. So in the 24 workouts that you did, what did those involve? So it was all kind of CrossFit workouts. So it was various different exercises like press-ups, squats, box jumps, barbell work like Olympic lifts, power cleans, push press. There's a lot of running, rower, skier, just all that kind of stuff. Why did you do this challenge? I went away backpacking for 6 months at the start of this year, and then at the best time, but I realised quite early on that I was struggling to be on my own, and then I decided to come home because I was waking up in Australia just anxious, literally like waking up every day sweating, just literally I was at rock bottom. I wanted to raise awareness for men's mental health in general, but also to show people that even the people who are like the loudest in the room, who are always the ones cracking jokes, smiling, laughing, who'd never even think of going through anything, can still struggle too. I'd never been part of an Andy's Man Club thing, but I'd heard about them and I'd seen that they were all about getting men to speak up, so that kind of resonated with me a lot.
What was the toughest moment for you during those 24 hours?
The toughest moment for me was workout 9. No, because it was, if you did the workout on its own, it's fine. But I got to a point where everything just started hurting. I started cramping up, like muscles I didn't even know could cramped up.
So if anyone that doesn't know, how much money did you raise in the end?
£1,665.
How did it feel at the end when you see that much money had been raised for you in the 24 hours?
It's just mental because it made it feel worth it because the rep Graham from Auntie's Man Club in Ponty said that was enough to cover the room hire for a year for their group. If it meant saving someone who was close to me, or if it meant stopping someone who I knew was in the exact same position I was 6 months ago, I'd do it all now because I'd never want anyone to feel the way I did. After doing it, it made me realise how many people I actually have in my life, which I really didn't think I had any of that before. And I'm probably the happiest I've ever been in my whole life. And that's all because I spent time working on myself, getting through all the stuff I did, and then doing this challenge on top, which was almost like the icing on the cake.
I am now joined in the studio by Archie Tooth, who is here to talk to us about Vito Matos and his start as Swansea City manager. So Archie, 2 games in charge so far for Vito, 2 defeats. It's not looking good, is it?
Yeah, well, it goes before Vito. They're winless in their last 7, but the most 2 recent games have been a bit unpromising. You know, against Derby County, they only scored a consolation goal in the 90th minute, and they were trailing all game. And then against West Brom as well, they went 2-0 up, but you end up losing 3-2, and the mentality in the squad at the moment isn't strong enough for them to pull through and get these results that they need at the moment.
Last Saturday's result, obviously a huge blow to what is already quite a rough run of form for them this season. They're only just outside the relegation zone on goal difference. What can Vito expect from his side, and what should Swansea fans expect now for the rest of the season?
Well, I think there's a bit of teething issues. Obviously, Vito's coaching staff aren't really with him at the moment. So in terms of on the training ground and getting best prepared for the games, it's quite difficult. But in terms of expectations for the season, if you're sat just above the relegation zone, the ultimate goal is to stay in the league. And at the moment, they're struggling to score goals really and get chances. And although, yes, they went 2-0 up and they had 2 shots in the game, that was all they had. And I'd say for Swansea fans, really, if they can stay up, they'll be very happy with that.
Do you think they will stay up by any chance?
I think they've got just enough quality.
Okay. Before we head into our final story, here's a quick preview of what is to come on the next show at 12:15.
This room is entirely dedicated to the history of women's football in Wales, from the pioneer days in the early.
And I think we've got dedicated PE staff, probably tripling the hours that we should be doing.
We stand a chance of another great escape.
Football seconds coach Rob Bailey spoke on the strange story on why their recent league game is having to be replayed.
Playing Gloucester away, and in the second half, our keeper's coach and one of our subs spotted that one of the players that had left the pitch was coming back on. They notified me straight away, and then while it was happening, I spoke to the opposition coach and the referee and said, "What on earth's going on?" And they said, "We're rotating players." And I said, "No, you're not. It's not in the rules." So at the end of the game, the boys had played okay. Lost 3-2. If the game had gone on an extra 5 minutes, we'd have won it. So as we were coming out of the change rooms, I spotted their coach. And I collared Jack, our captain, who didn't feel very comfortable about going out of this conversation with the coach. I said, "Look," I said, "I'm going to put in a plain under protest form," which essentially means that both captains sign it with a little explanation about what happened and then go from there.
So what happens now? Is the game being replayed, or did you get the win?
Yeah, the game, we put the form into our issue, and they've both talked to each other alongside Bucks, and they have agreed that the game is to be replayed at USW Sport Park in February.
Thank you for tuning in today to A Game of Two Halves. I've been your host, Max Drinkwater James, and for myself and the team, thank you and goodbye.